Spoiler alert, the aquarium shed operates from a basement. I know, it's pretty controversial, right? So anyway, down here in the basement runs all of our pipes for the water, gas and central heating system. This is an old Victorian terrace, and a couple of weeks ago the ancient lead piping that brings water into the house sprung a leak. A few hectic hours later, we had a plumber on the case and a quote to fix the issue. And then it dawned on me, I could finally have a tap down here. Now, regular viewers may recall my previous water change routine. The first part is really efficient, using a water pump and suction hose to quickly empty all the tanks down the drain in the garden a few meters above my head. The second part was not so efficient, getting the drill out to tightly secure a hose adapter onto the kitchen sink tap, and then running the hose downstairs, all the while worrying about the pressure building up and the adapter coming off and flooding the kitchen, which happened more times than I care to admit. So yeah, a tap down here, a metre away from my aquarium rack, sounded bloody marvellous. And this got me thinking about the best hose adaptations for putting water back into aquariums. George Farmer is pretty famous for his simple red colander, and even MD Fish Tanks has a pretty clever looking contraption pieced together from multiple filter hose adapters that he seems to have collected over the years. I, on the other hand, have been using a water jug with holes drilled into the bottom and the hose pipe cable tied to the handle. Hardly the most elegant solution. And I wanted something that was easily achieved by anyone and that didn't rely on any hard to get parts. And that's when I stumbled across various listings for these. A pretty generic Chinese product called a fish tank hook water changer. It can attach to a variety of water pipe diameters and has a really sturdy tap or flow switch as they refer to it. The product arrived and I was pleasantly surprised with the robust quality of the whole thing for around just £12. But the next step was dispersing the water flow, the kind of thing typically achieved by colanders and paper towel. Now, the output pipe on the hook water changer has an inner diameter of 15mm, and I found these double layered hose filters on Amazon, and they have an outer diameter of 12mm. I was pretty sure that with the help of some rubber O-ring gaskets, we could have a pretty good solution. And lo and behold, it did indeed work well. These filters do a really decent job of dispersing the water flow so as not to upset the substrate or your newly planted plants. And unless you turn the pressure up really high, the gaskets keep the filter in place. And for a really permanent solution, you could of course apply some glue or some silicone. And for 90% of you, I would suggest this is a more than adequate solution, but I still felt like the water dispersal could be a tad better. The water filters are good, but they still have mesh at the bottom, and you still get some flow immediately heading straight down. The ideal water disperser would immediately redirect the flow upwards. And that was when I dived deep into the world of 3D printing and found a wealth of different designs out there which I could adapt to work perfectly with this particular hook water changer. So shout out to a guy called Jeff for the original design, which I have then customised slightly in Onshape. The files are publicly available and I'll leave a link in the description. Basically, all I did was change the diameter of the intake to 14mm and create two small rivets for some 2mm gaskets to fit in, which would create a nice tight seal. I also slightly adjusted the shape so that it is longer and the water travels further before being redirected upwards. I just thought this would help with the dispersal, although my physics could be way off here, as it was never my strong point. Nevertheless, my first ever 3D print came out really well. And that was it really. Without any further adaptations or reprints required, I had modelled and printed a working water disperser. The O-ring gaskets fit perfectly in the rivets, and then they form a really tight seal. And as you can see, it does a much better job of dispersing the water. So there you have it. No more random contraptions or colanders required. I'll leave a link to both the solutions and the hook water changer itself in the description below. And if you like the DIY nature of this video, you'll probably enjoy the top video about my DIY filter made from cheap plastic pipe. Or if you're intrigued about my water change pump, then check out the bottom video. Take care, and I'll see you soon.